Emily, is everything okay? My husband said with a happy expression at the corner of his mouth. But suddenly, my mother-in-law stood up with a pained expression. Ow, 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 she murmured as she rushed to the bathroom, holding her stomach. Mom, what's happening? Why are you feeling so much pain in your stomach? I asked, feigning concern. It can't be, murmured my mother-in-law. Emily, did you switch the teacups? My husband asked, visibly annoyed. What's the problem if I did? I replied, confirming my suspicions. Welcome to the Revenge Sagas channel. If you're enjoying this story, subscribe to the channel and give the video a like to discover the next stories. My name is Emily, I'm 33 years old, and I work in an office. My husband, Liam, and I have been married for 4 years. We met in the workplace, where he was hired by a client for whom I worked. At first, he seemed clumsy, but he adapted over time. I found him intelligent. Soon, we grew closer, started going out, and he confessed his feelings for me. Thus, we officially started dating and later got married. It seemed like our newlywed life was going very well. Liam wasn't a good cook, so I took on that task. In return, he took care of cleaning and laundry, as well as taking out the trash. However, recently, his attitude towards me changed. Before, he always followed me and sought my attention. At home, I needed to patiently ask him to give me space, as if I were training a puppy. But now, he barely treats me as he did before. His sweet voice was replaced by a cold tone. What do we have for dinner? Hamburger? He asked, without showing enthusiasm. Okay, this isn't quite a reaction, I thought, frustrated for having made an effort to prepare something special. My husband, even after that, continued to act coldly. It seems he lost interest in me. At the beginning, he was so kind. I hope one day he'll be kind to me again. And it's not just my husband, there's another person bothering me, my mother-in-law. Since the beginning of our marriage, my mother-in-law has been meddling with me. Hey, Emily, why didn't you prepare snacks? She said accusingly. I'm sorry to hear that, but you show up unannounced. Typically, one waits and gives notice in advance. I responded, taken aback. Up until now, my husband was by my side and intervened when she started. But lately, he's been joining her, attacking me. I really don't think Emily is considerate. It's the wife's duty to be prepared whenever my mother comes. You never know when she'll show up. If you keep this up. He says things like that, and my husband makes threats of divorce. I'm upset because he wasn't like this before. I feel a mix of sadness and still want to trust my husband. Then, one day, the unbelievable happened. One weekend, my mother-in-law came to our house. For some reason, she brought tea and sweets that day. She brought an expensive tea and spoke cheerfully with me. I went out in search of the best tea to drink together, she said. I don't know why she was being so kind to me. It was as if there was some sort of motivation behind it. My husband said, "Thank you, Mom, I'll prepare the tea today." And lately, he has been rushing me, asking to set the table because Mom is waiting. Why is he being so kind to me today? While I was feeling uncomfortable, my husband brought me a cup of tea with grains. Wow, it smells so good, my mother-in-law said as she brought her face closer to the cup. I was a bit skeptical and brought my face closer to the tea. It smelled like normal tea. But there was something odd, bubbles floating in the tea. This is definitely not good. I knew I shouldn't drink that tea, but what else could I do? I began to consider if there was any way to swap it out. Oh, that's right, mother-in-law. Your favorite country singer was at the music show the other night, and I recorded it. You can watch if you want, I suggested, trying to divert her attention. Oh, really? I'll watch immediately, my excited mother-in-law replied, heading to grab the remote. Oh, there are no snacks. You made tea, but forgot to prepare the snacks, I reminded my husband. He's a bit arrogant, so he's easily provoked. I was just about to do that. Wait a moment, he replied, going to fetch the plates and snacks. I seized this moment to swap my tea with my mother-in-law's while they were distracted. When the two returned to the table, I pretended innocence. Well, let's have some tea. Come on, I proposed. It's a lovely cup of tea, isn't it? My mother-in-law and husband started to drink their teas, while watching me closely. It certainly tastes different than usual, I commented, trying to keep calm. My husband and mother-in-law smiled, clearly pleased with my reaction. I know it's different. Yes, it's delicious, my husband replied, accompanied by laughter from my mother-in-law. I thought so too. It's very good, I agreed, determined to drink all the tea. We chatted for a few more minutes, but the smiles disappeared from my husband and mother-in-law's faces. Emily, are you okay? My husband asked, impatient. Clearly, he was plotting something. Suddenly, my mother-in-law got up with a pained expression. Ow, ow, ow. She murmured as she rushed to the bathroom, holding her stomach. Pain. Mom, what's wrong with you? Why are you feeling so much pain in your stomach? I asked, concerned. Oh, no, not at all. Hi, Emily, she replied, trying to disguise. You didn't switch the tea. I did, your mother and I replied, trying to deflect attention from my mistake. Why did you do that? What's wrong with changing? He questioned, with a serious expression. Does that mean there was something wrong with the first tea you served me? I insisted, worried. No, it's not that. Just, tell me the truth. Otherwise, you won't be able to handle this properly, and your mother will be in danger, he pressed. As I expected, he finally confessed the truth. Actually, I had planted a large amount of laxative powder in your tea, he admitted. Huh, of course you'd have stomach pain if you did that. And in large quantities, it can be fatal, I replied, horrified. Call an ambulance. I shouted, panicking. Oh, it's okay. That's how my mother was taken away by the ambulance. My husband was very upset and ran to accompany her, I continued. I decided to keep the tea that my husband had tampered with in a water bottle, as evidence to present to the police. While my husband and mother-in-law were at the hospital, I decided to pack my bags and call my parents at home, asking them to help me transport my belongings to their house. When I finally arrived at my parents' house, I received a call from my husband. My mother is in danger, she's very ill. She needs to stay in the hospital for a few days. So, I need you to bring her a change of clothes and some other things, okay? He asked. What are you talking about? Of course, I don't want to do that. I responded, determined. Hey, you can't do this, my mother is in trouble. You're my wife, you should at least do this. He tried to pressure me. I can't stay with you anymore. I'm divorcing you. I declared, firmly. Divorce? When I mentioned the word divorce, my husband was silent for a moment and then said, I see. If you insist on divorcing me, then I have no choice. He threatened. But it was you who asked for the divorce. You won't get any share of the property. I argued. What are you talking about? You caused the divorce. So, I'll take what I can. He retorted. Don't be ridiculous, I'm not paying you a penny. I countered, determined. The divorce was your idea. It's not my fault. I'm disgusted. It was you who tried to force me to drink a cup of laxative tea in the first place. How can you think you're not wrong? Besides, I have a great weapon against him to be punished. I thought. Irritated. But before I could mention that, he hung up the phone. Well, I have a lot of things to do, like getting a lawyer, so I'll leave it at that for now. I concluded, determined to move on. After that, my husband started questioning why things were missing at home, saying the house was falling apart because I didn't do the chores. "You're willing to divorce me, aren't you? You understand you'll have to take care of the house on your own when we're divorced?" he taunted. There were so many aspects I wanted to make clear, but I decided not to respond to my husband until after I had arranged for a lawyer. Then, my mother-in-law was discharged from the hospital and my husband and in-laws came to my parents' house. "Divorce isn't an option, but I'll comply." I agreed, despite everything. "You didn't even come to visit my mother in the hospital after what happened to her. You just left her house taking your belongings. How can I continue to be married to a woman like you?" my husband said, arrogantly. My mother-in-law kept giving me nasty looks, and it seemed like my husband and mother-in-law only told the whole story from their point of view. Then, my father-in-law decided to intervene. "Emily, I think you're being a bit selfish," he opined. I realized my father-in-law was the only neutral person in my husband's family, so I decided to show him the truth. I took out my phone and played a recorded audio. Actually, I had planted a large amount of laxative powder in Emily's tea. It was heard clearly. As soon as they heard this audio, the faces of my husband and mother-in-law turned pale. "Where did this conversation come from?" they asked, confused. My husband ended up digging his own grave. I felt I was in danger. I quickly swapped my mother-in-law's tea with mine. Then, my mother-in-law suddenly had a stomach ache. She always intimidated me, and my husband used to get annoyed with her for it. But recently, they started attacking me together, and he finally crossed the line. After hearing my explanation, my father-in-law had a furious look on his face and glanced at my husband and mother-in-law. "Hey, Liam, what's going on? Is it true that you tried to kill your own wife?" My father-in-law confronted them, leaving them ashamed. No, wait, Dad. That was just for fun. Emily got sick to her stomach, and I was actually planting laxatives in her tea. It was like a fun surprise, you know. And of course, I wasn't trying to harm her, nor was I just teasing her. My husband tried to explain. "I don't know how much of a joke they are. Don't think you can get away with this forever." I intervened, grabbing an envelope and placing its contents on the table. They were photographic evidence of my husband's affair, which I received from the detective agency hired. My husband's face went even paler. "Why did you think I didn't know anything? Your attitude was so cold that I thought I imagined that there was some reason for you to try to kill me." Hired an investigative agency. "I never imagined you were involved in a case. That idea just didn't seem real to me. However, now I realize that maybe you were planning something much more sinister. You were trying to kill me to keep all our assets and enjoy them with someone else, because clearly you didn't want to share anything in case of divorce. Knowing the extent of your actions, I was able to plan my revenge meticulously," I explained calmly. Apparently, I hit the nail on the head because my husband was sweating profusely. I confronted him with the divorce papers to end it. "No matter how stupid you are, if you are confronted with divorce papers in this situation, you know you are at a disadvantage, don't you?" I asked, firmly. "Of course, I'll receive alimony and also get a fair share of the property. Oh, and by the way, I'll report you for assault for planting the laxative," I finished, calling the police. "Wait a minute, don't you feel sorry for Liam?" my mother-in-law questioned. "Darling, what are you talking about? I don't feel sorry for him, and even less for you. You're equally guilty. He was cooperating with you," I responded, defending myself. Wait a minute, why should I be the one to be arrested? It was Liam who planted the laxative. Mom, you devised this plan. Don't dare to try to pin this solely on me," Liam explained, noticeably apprehensive. My husband and my mother-in-law began arguing, neither of them admitting their guilt. Finally, my father-in-law grew tired and intervened. "Enough. You both committed a crime. Give up and take responsibility together. Don't complain when the police take you away," he ordered, firmly. "And Liam, you need to take responsibility for the case. Pay Emily the alimony she deserves, and she'll receive her share of the property," my father-in-law concluded, imposing his authority. My husband and my mother-in-law were completely frightened by the sound of my father-in-law's irritated voice. I'm glad my father-in-law fired first because my dad was about to lose his temper too, I commented, relieved. "Let's go through lawyers to negotiate the rest of this." Then I told him to sign the divorce papers as soon as possible, I reported. My husband was reluctant to sign the papers, but my father-in-law yelled at him again, and he finally signed them. "I'm really sorry for the trouble. My stupid son and my stupid wife caused you. I apologize." My father-in-law addressed us, in a gesture of regret. I took my husband and my mother-in-law home. After that, I filed for alimony with my ex-husband and the adulterer, through my lawyer. I received $150,000 from each of them. Then, I filed a police report against my ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law for attempting to harm my life. I submitted the audio of my husband intentionally planting a laxative and the tea that was made at the time of the incident. Both were arrested and fined. By the way, my ex-father-in-law was so disgusted with my ex-mother-in-law that he left her and filed for divorce. So, my ex-mother-in-law had to work and pay the fine herself. But since she and my ex-husband are trying to stab each other in the back, she can't even trust him, her own son. She's currently working part-time for a low monthly salary to pay the fine. As for my ex-husband, his adulteress was upset with him for lying that they could get married without causing me any trouble. She yelled at my ex-husband, and he promised to pay the fine for adultery. Instead, partners think. So he took out a high-interest loan and paid the fine and alimony to me in a single lump sum. At that moment, the adulterer disappeared. But, as everything that starts wrong doesn't have a worthy end, his mistress left him when she found a man with more money. In short, he ended up with an incalculable debt and a loan. He really deserved all of this. On the other hand, I got what I wanted. And my share of the property was secured, so I'm relieved. Currently, I'm living in an apartment near my workplace. And with more time and tranquility, I've been able to dedicate myself to my work and earned a promotion. I'm thinking of taking a trip with friends or my parents to celebrate. It's a crime to intentionally make someone drink tea containing laxatives, isn't it? It's not a joke. The husband and mother-in-law should go to the depths of hell. Anyway, I'm deeply relieved to have freed myself from such toxic and malicious people. The feeling of justice and revenge is indescribable and priceless. Now, I have the freedom to seek genuine connections with people who share my character and values, and that is truly valuable. This experience served as a crucial reminder not to ignore alarming signs in a relationship, as they can turn into something much bigger. I am grateful for having learned this lesson and for moving forward towards a more positive and authentic future. Thank you for listening to the story up to this point. Now, I would love to hear what you think about this story. Leave your comment below, share your impressions and opinions. Your participation is essential to make our channel better and better.